Join Bob Kolazarik as he welcomes a diverse array of guests to the enlightening talk show, Greetings from the Ashram. In each episode, Bob sits down with experts and practitioners from the world of complementary healing modalities, spirituality, and holistic wellness to delve into the transformative power of these practices. From ancient traditions to cutting-edge therapies, Greetings from the Ashram offers viewers an insightful and uplifting journey into the realms of mind, body, and spirit. So now, please welcome your host, Bob Kolazarik.
Hello, everyone. Namaste and welcome. I'm Bob Kolazarik, and you're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Welcome to episode 38. Tonight, we have a very special guest joining us, Maria Taban. Maria is a holistic nutritionist, a Duke-trained and certified National Board certified health and wellness coach, certified Ayurveda practitioner, functional nutrition coach, and author. She is here to share her experience with all of us, with the main focus on Ayurveda tonight. So welcome to the show, Maria.
Thanks, Bob. It's so nice to be here with you.
Nice round of applause.
Yeah, enthusiastic guests.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. You have so much background. I mean, you've been in the health and nutrition business a long time, and I know we're going to focus a little bit more on Ayurveda, as you're an Ayurvedic practitioner, and I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But so with all that background and all that experience, what led you to really want to focus on the being an Ayurveda practitioner? And I don't really know much about it, so I'm really looking forward to tonight.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Bob. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, Ayurveda. It is the wonderful system of medicine from India. It's over 5,000 to 7,000 years old. But I came to this really started in the 90s. I had landed a great job, but I ended up in a very hostile work environment. And so at the same time, my mother was dying of pancreatic cancer. So I started developing these symptoms, like vertigo, shortness of breath, and I started breaking out in hives everywhere for no reason. Well, I didn't think there was a reason. So it turned out that I was, dealing with some anxiety. And so I went to, the normal route, went to my doctor. He conducted an examination, thorough. He said, well, you're in perfect health. Take this medication. And it was for anti-anxiety medication. And, I'll preface this by saying I'm not opposed to pharmaceuticals. I think they have a place, of course, and people need them. But for me, then he sent me to a neurologist. And I did those tests and all that was fine. But I didn't feel that the medication route was right for me. It's not, I just felt like, well, there's something, obviously I know what's causing this, so I have to dig a little bit deeper. So with that, my mother was always kind of holistically minded. She's always like, try to find the remedy that's natural first. So then I dug my heels in. I went to yoga classes. I studied herbal medicine. I studied Ayurveda. I just studied the mind-body connection and energy healing, reflexology, and then, best of all, Ayurveda. And it wasn't, when I met this Ayurvedic doctor, who later became my mentor, Ayurveda really helped me put all of the anxiety into perspective. And years later, when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, which is a slow thyroid, but it's the autoimmune thyroid disease, Hashimoto's. And I went to her, and she was really the one that started me on the path to healing. I had been to 10 doctors, conventional and integrative, about my thyroid disease. She was the one that really helped me heal on the path to healing. And I haven't taken medication for that in about maybe 8 or 9 years. I started off, taking a low dose medicine, and then I got off it. So then I wanted to just learn more about this. What is this? This is just an amazing system of medicine. And then I started studying with her. And, Ayurveda is a lifelong study because it's just, there's so much to know. And you can study your whole life, which is what I plan on doing.
Well, it's been around a long time, right? It's got a
Yeah,
little bit of a track record to it.
exactly. Exactly. I think like around 7,000 years is a pretty good track record, right?
Yeah, is it 7,000 or I thought maybe around 5,000, but either one, it's a nice run. Must
It's
have
a good
some.
one. Yeah. Yeah. And so, like the first portion of the word means life, and Veda means truth or, science, so it's the knowledge of life. And, we hear this term mind body connection. And that's really, all of these Eastern traditions have really coined that term. But been reading a book called The Mindful Body by Dr. Ellen Langer. She is a PhD from Harvard. She teaches at Harvard, and it's really an interesting book. And she kind of dismissed that term, and she said it's not a connection; it's mind body unity. And that really struck me. She's like, you don't have to make the connection. Basically, that connection is there. Your mind and body, they are unified from the beginning. You can't, and Ayurveda has said this for thousands of years, right? It defines perfect health as the balance between the mind, body, spirit, and environment. And then when one of these elements are out of balance, well, what happens? Disease occurs because you can't separate them.
Well,
So that's
exactly.
really,
As an Arhatic yogi, we learn, we have a physical body, we have a mental body, and an emotional body to us all. So it's all part of our makeup. It really is.
yeah. And it takes, I think I always tell clients it takes longer to heal when you're doing something like Ayurveda, because there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of there's a longer journey to get to where you want to be, because it's a lot of self-discovery along the way, and you have to be patient for that. It's not like, okay, well, you're going to take a pill, or even you're going to take an herb, and herbs are wonderful, but you need to get to the root cause, and that's the beauty of it, the root cause of what it is and what brought you here. And the other thing is that there are a few things, a few quotes that I came up with from Ayurveda. We are what we digest, but not only food. Our emotions, sounds, everything you take in, you're digesting. The other is all diseases begin in the mind and the gut. So if you don't change your thoughts, you can't heal. And if you don't have a healthy gut, you can't achieve and sustain perfect health. And that was something actually that Hippocrates said over 2,000 years ago, but Ayurveda said it five, not to, not pinning one against the other, but also localized
Well,
healing
it's an
doesn't.
important message that keeps being handed down, and everybody, keeps, this is why it's been around for thousands of years, and it works. But anyway, sorry.
No, no, you're absolutely right. But thankfully, I think in the West we're coming around to these concepts, and have been for some years, thankfully. The other thing is that localized healing doesn't really work, right? We're more than an organ or a tumor, and to heal, again, go back to taking into consideration the whole picture. Um, Also, you don't get sick overnight, and you don't heal overnight. When I was from the time I was diagnosed, it took me about 2 years to really start to feel better. It was a process. It didn't happen overnight. The other thing that Ayurveda does is treats the individual, not the disease. So they're treating the person, and it really you're healing from the inside out, which is the beauty of it. Um, the other thing that one of the other concepts is that like increases like, and opposites create balance. And I'll get a little bit more into that when I talk about more specifics. But just to share again what it is, it's again, the system of medicine's been practiced for over 5,000 years, and it's the sister science to yoga. And there's three pillars: maintenance, prevention, and healing. So again, when one of these are out of balance, then disease occurs. And we have to really work to bring those elements back into balance.
So, what kind of practices are involved in incorporating it into your daily routine? You mentioned it's a sister practice to yoga. Is there yoga involved in that?
Oh, sure, absolutely. It's and that's a really good question, because each person, it might be different, right? So I can have the same illness as you, um, but I may require different treatment to recover, just because I'm a different person, right? So Ayurveda believes that our cells have wisdom, and the body can heal itself given the right tools and environment to thrive in, but you have to know what is going to work for your body. So that's a really important aspect of it.
So, does your coaching experience help you to determine that for people? You know, what you can you guide somebody on? Hey, what's working for you might not be working for me. How do you figure that out?
Yeah. It's interesting. I just finished my health coaching certification in the last year and a half. And what brought me to that, ironically, was coaching clients on something like Ayurveda, or and even nutrition, right? You'll give someone a protocol, say, okay, this is what, after you talk to them for, an hour or two, and you understand who they are, then you give them this plan. But I realized that it's not easy, and it's not a criticism. It's just not easy to follow a plan sometimes. People know, look, a lot of us know what we should be doing, right? We know we shouldn't be eating sugar, and we know we shouldn't be eating saturated fats and things like that. But we do it. And it's not always easy to change. So with coaching, it was a new skill to learn how to really, you're the one that's going to dictate your healing. You're the one that knows what you need, and it's really up to you to come up with that plan. And then your coach is there to just kind of guide you through it. So I'll give people a plan, but now I can really coach them through it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So you've haven't had any more anxiety since that? Did you realize you were having anxiety, or
You know,
at the time?
I really, I didn't think about that term. I just felt like, all right, I'm a little stressed. But when I was getting vertigo, and I'm like, where is vertigo? I never would associate that with being anxious, having anxiety. Then these hives, my lip would swell, and but I did go to one doctor who said, um, actually, he had an Eastern perspective, and he said to me, "Your mother's terminally ill, and she's probably not going to live that much longer. After she passes, you have to make a decision about this job. And then once you do that, come back in 6 months and we'll check your bloods." Because I had one of my white blood count was very low. My the and for your immune system. And that was really interesting, because he was absolutely right. And he said, "This is you just going through anxiety. You're going through a really difficult time, and it's manifest. It's coming out, And he said, your grief." I said, "Well, I started grieving my mother the day I heard her diagnosis." And he said, "Well, yeah, of course. So all of that grief now, however, and for me, that's how it manifested, in hives and dizziness, and but in somebody else, it would manifest a different way."
But it's amazing how that mind body connection is, how the emotional things do manifest physically. I mean, it happens in a lot of different instances. But it is time to take a short commercial break. I am Bob
Okay.
Kolazark, and you are watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. We'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Bob Kolozarik, and you're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Back with Maria Tabon, Ayurveda practitioner, helping me learn and understand a little bit more about this ancient practice. I honestly don't know much about it. I'm embarrassed to say so. I should in my line of work, but there seems to be so much to it. I mean, like we talked about, thousands of years. So can you break it down to a brief overview of what it is and what it entails? Origins,
Sure.
whatever you
Yeah.
got, throw it at me.
So it's a system of medicine, right? As I mentioned, from India. And so it operates on the belief that our bodies are composed of 5 fundamental elements, right? Fire, water, earth, air, and ether. So these elements not only exist in nature, but they're present in each one of us. So that it really emphasizing our deep connection to nature. So within Ayurveda, there's a concept called the doshas, and I explain them as it's the blueprint that you were born with, right? So I may have, and the doshas never change, right? So they're energies that govern our physical and mental functions. And there's 3 of them, and they're called vata, pitta, and kapha. So, and there's a quiz that, you can take if you want to find out what your dosha is, because everything is based off your dosha. So I call it your constitution. It's unique to every individual, and it remains constant throughout your life. So much like the color of your eyes, right? My eyes are brown. Well, they may get irritated, they may get red, but they may get infected, but they're always going to be brown. And so it's a matter of, if something happens with them, I need to bring them back. Everything is about bringing it back to that balance. So once you know your dosha, is really a key to knowing yourself, because it provides clues to what you should eat, and what you should do if your energy becomes low, if you get sick. So it really gives you, a lot of information. And the more you know, the better. So most people are a combination of 2. You could be a combination of 3. That's a little bit more rare, but that's called tridosha. But most people are a combination of 2. So also in Ayurveda is a term called vikruti, and that's your current state of health, right? So prakruti is your dosha, but vikruti is the current state. So for example, I'm going to say my dosha is pitta kapha. Now, pitta is fire, right? So if my dosha is out of balance, when you have anxiety, for example, I had anxiety, Vata is the air dosha. When you usually have anxiety, your air is high, right? If you think about it, you're not thinking straight. You're just you can't function. You're flighty, and that's the air sign. So that for me was out of balance when I had anxiety, and for most people, that's they say your vata goes up. So what I had, so I was vata dominant at that point, but I'm still a pitta. It's just that I was out of balance. So I had to bring that vata down to get myself back in balance. And it really helps you also to identify where there's these where you have a deficiency or an excess. Your dosha also determines what diseases you're prone to. So every dosha has personality and physical profile, a list of organs that it governs, actually a season that it's associated with, as well as a season in your life and even a time of day. So so what determines these doshas, right? Well, genetics, right? They're inherited from your parents. They can be passed down through generations. Um, and what influences them is just about everything, right? Your environment, the environment you live in, your climate. If you live in a hot and a humid climate, your balance may be different than somebody who lives in a cold and dry climate. That your diet, your lifestyle habits, your daily routines, how you exercise, how you sleep. Sleep is plays such a significant role in shaping your dosha. And look, we all know, we've heard so much now. There's so much research on sleep and the lack of sleep and how damaging that is and how it can cause disease. Um, different foods, activities, and habits can either balance or aggravate your doshas. And then your doshas too change. It doesn't change. It can vary at different stages of life, because we are different at each stage of life. And then when your parental influence is something that also um, is a factor. When if your mother was really stressed when she was pregnant, that could determine that your dosha, like I had mentioned vata dosha before, that could determine, despite sharing DNA, how this child is going to be formed. That this child could be a very anxious child growing up. Um, so when I see clients, I look at their dosha quiz because I let them take a quiz. They have to answer a bunch of
How
questions.
extensive is that quiz? Seems like it should be relatively extensive. It covers your physical, emotional, mental states,
Yeah.
or
It does. It literally it's about a page. It really isn't that lengthy. Um, you'll start to see once people start answering, there's patterns. So you'll see the pattern right away. I will when I sit with a client, I can tell in less than 5 minutes what they are before I look at that piece of paper because you exhibit certain qualities. Not not in everyone, because some people are when they come to the session, they might be a little nervous at first or whatever. But the physical, like we take pulse, we do pulse diagnosis, look at the skin, the face, the eyes, tongue diagnosis can tell you a lot about the current condition of what someone's dealing with. And then, of course, I ask a lot of questions about your life, surroundings, relationships, and how you feel about yourself. So, you have to be ready when you're going into an Ayurvedic consultation to really be, I think, honest and raw. And with that, then, I can determine, okay, where you're at and what you need. So, but you have to understand that person's constitution before you move any further. And then I lay out a whole plan of your diet, your body treatments, your daily routines, meditation, which is very important. That really is important across the board, regardless of dosha. And, we always recommend yoga. But even things like herbs, aromatherapy, all of these recommendations are made as a result of that initial session.
so that would be the starting point then to figure out what your dosha is. That's the first step.
Yeah.
And you administer this quiz, so if people wanted to start, figuring that out? You said there were quizzes available. Do we come to you for
Oh,
that?
yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. I love sharing this, so I'm so happy to send out a quiz to whoever wants it. It's an
Yeah, well,
interesting learning about yourself.
yeah, I'm totally on board. I want to learn more about myself on that too. Um, so once you get there, it seems like it's a little overwhelming. There'd be a lot you can be thrown at you, right? How do people adjust to it? I mean, I meditate, and my practice
Yeah.
incorporates a lot of different yogas into it. Not really so much the physical, but the breathing and that kind of stuff. But how do people adjust to it?
It takes time. I mean, it's easy to say, "Oh, you should do this and you should do that." I think it takes time. I'll say to my clients, "Look, give me one or two things a week. If because change is hard, and there's to your point, there's a lot here. I would say to people, clients, I'll tell them, do this every morning. I want you to try one thing: have a hot cup of water before you do anything. After you brush your teeth, before you eat, you can have your coffee later, but have a hot cup of water. It is amazing. It helps to detox the body from the night before. It sets your digestion for the day. Because one of the big things that I've noticed over the years, and the research has proven that digestion is a problem for so many people. A lot of people have digestive issues, and all of these diseases now stem from the gut. So Ayurveda, for thousands of years, has been focusing on healing the gut.
Yeah, that's big when the microbiomes and all that. That's in your
Yeah,
gut. Yeah, we did some studies. Well, Master Glenn, Pranic Healing Research Institute, or I don't know who ran the study, but they were involved. We were up at Spiritual Vacation, and everybody was on the same diet, and we had the before, after, and everybody had the same meditation practice. And with that meditation practice, the improvement in a week's time was just very, I don't know what the right word is, noticeable. You know what I mean? It was just like substantial improvement. So yeah. So would you recommend, if anybody was doing anything, they could start with meditation first, or or is that a variable on different people too? Because I know
yeah,
from my experience, it really, on the gut aspect of it was really significant.
yeah. I think everyone can benefit from meditation. I mean, look at the crazy, stressful, insane world we're living in. I think everyone can benefit from, especially because we are so desensitized and everyone's on their phones and no one has an attention span more than, a minute and a half. Um, so meditation really helps you to just try to be in the moment, slow down a little bit, and put everything else aside. So I think meditation's crucial for everyone. I do, and I tell people, you don't have to set up a sacred space. You can do it anywhere. Give me 5 minutes. I mean, I start clients out 5 minutes a day, just or even noticing, being more mindful of things when you're eating. Chew your food. I mean, that is one of the things that we recommend because people don't chew. They're mindlessly eating, which causes digestive upset, right? You're eating while you're texting, while you're scrolling, while you're looking at TV, whatever you're doing. So there's no real focus on anything anymore. So this is where we try to bring back people back. And it's not easy, but the changes are profound once you start taking it up as a practice. And again, I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed. Start with a thing or two a week.
Yeah, I'm big on stillness, mindfulness, presence.
Mhm.
Um, because you're right, there's too much noise going on, and I focus. I mean, that's a big part of my practice, is just bringing that stillness into my everyday world. Because for a variety of reasons, I don't want the negative thoughts coming in, or just all that stuff. But when you tap into your intuition more heavy, right, you can hear that inner voice, and when you're just being present, life unfolds, you don't have the expectations of the future, and you're not worrying about the past. You're just being in the moment, and then life unfolds for you. And that's my experience, and it's a beautiful experience. Just being in the flow of it. So, I totally on board with the meditation aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's something that's, easy, not, well, easy, I guess that's relative, but it's cheap. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it wherever you are. And it's just something good to really start out with. But like a couple of tips that I would give, just for example, we're getting into the cooler weather, going into the colder weather. So when I had said before about Ayurveda that like increases like and opposites create balance. So we're going into a cold season. The things you don't want to do is have ice cream, cold food, cold water. I never have ice. It's not recommended to have anything cold because it douses the digestive system, puts out that fire that you need for proper digestion. So even in the summer, you wouldn't recommend something that's ice cold. You're not going to have it hot, but again, according to the season. So now the warmer weather, soups, stews, nothing cold, warming foods. Those are really good for the body, and they're good for the mind too because it's calming everything down. So
But
and
doesn't
you're eating season.
doesn't that go into like seasonal eating, which is a thing, and it should be a thing, and it's a fascinating topic that I would like to get into and explore more. But I think there's a lot to it. I'm not a seasonal eater, but I think after what you just said, it just kind of like reminds me again, um, to eat what's in season, and um, that's part of it, I think. But I do have to take another short commercial break. I am Bob Kolazaric. You're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. I am Bob Kolazaric, and you're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Back with Maria Tabone, really giving us a master class on Ayurveda. There's just so much to it. But in all your practices that you do, is this the one that you focus on primarily these days? Because I know you're involved with a lot of different things.
I am, it really brings, I do a lot of health coaching, but under that umbrella, like I can help people with all these things. So it's really Ayurveda and nutrition has always been my big focus. But Ayurveda, a big part of it is nutrition, is about nutrition. So it all kind of comes together.
So tell me about the nutritional aspects of it. I mean, I'll just use myself as an example. I have type 2 diabetes. I don't necessarily take care of myself as well as I should. I was raising my hand earlier when you're saying that we eat stuff that we shouldn't. So, like for somebody like me, what would you recommend nutritional wise? I mean, I know what I should be doing, but is there like herbs and stuff I should be delving into?
Well, the thing is, and that's where, it gets to be a slippery slope. Are you on medication?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's, and I tell people this, herbs are medicinal. So you have to be careful with herbs when you're on medication because they do interact. If you take something, there are herbs and Ayurvedic herbs that will lower blood sugar. But again, if you're taking medicine, I would I would always work with someone's doctor on that. I would never recommend herbs to somebody that's on medication. But there's some herbal teas you can take. I think too with whether it's diabetes or any sort of any chronic illness. I think the basics of course, we'd have to knowing your dosha, then would give you a plan of like, okay, what types of foods that you should be eating. But I think some of the um, some of the basic focus should just be on, okay, no processed foods, right? We hear so much about ultra processed foods. Nothing that is, and think of that, things that are in a can, things that are in a box, dinners that you can throw in the microwave, frozen foods. Now, frozen foods in some cases, like fruits and vegetables, are okay. I would suggest that if that's how you're going to get them into your diet, fine, do that. If people are not going to go out and buy fruits and vegetables, but of course you want to have the low glycemic fruits, keep those around, like the berries, um, and then and really just try to focus your plate. Now, in Ayurveda is mostly a vegetarian regimen. However, we do give meat to people, but meat should be like a condiment. It shouldn't be the biggest part of the meal. The biggest part of the meal should be, vegetables and some healthy, good carbs, if they agree with you and you like those. But I think that it really, and if you're having meat, it the meat should be grass fed and grass finished. Your chicken should be pasture raised. Again, if this is within somebody's budget to do that, but focus really that plate on vegetables and the healthier foods and an array of vegetables. Like for example, tonight I had some spinach and some sweet potatoes, like just the vegetables that are now more seasonal. And of course, we know, right? Sugar is no good. Fat is good, but it's the type of fats that you have. So, of course, extra virgin olive oil. And there, I wrote an article on my blog because olive oil has been in question for years. Good quality olive oil, some of it has been adulterated, and they mix in vegetable oil, which is awful,
Yeah.
um, in with the olive oil. So you have to know how to buy a quality olive oil. Um, but this time of year, like good soups, even like a vegetable soup, stews, things that are warming. So I think that stuff is pretty basic because there's a wide array of foods to choose from, and stay away from the bad stuff. And the other thing, what COVID did teach us is to cook. People couldn't go out, so they stayed at home and they learned to cook, or they cooked more, which is because we're so on the go that we grab food and to make everything quick. So, and that's a problem. We're taxing the body's digestive power, and really, you know we're creating illness if we're eating all these foods and eating out a lot, because you don't know what you get when you're eating in a restaurant. Yeah, this food tastes great, but that's because it's loaded most of the time with bad fat and tons of salt. So I say
And
cooking
a lot of
is,
butter,
so,
probably.
oh my goodness, of course, because Well, butter's delicious and it makes the food taste good. um, so I think, and then there are other, daily rituals. The times that you eat your meals, like you should have just say, and wake up at a certain time every day. Try to wake up at the same time. Ideally, waking up with the sun is the best time to wake up, but that doesn't work for everyone. So you wake up at the same time every day. You have that nice warm glass of water. We do other things in the morning, like scrape the tongue. I recommend people get a tongue scraper, because if you look at your tongue in the morning, if you just, for example, if you see a very thick white coating on there, that means that you have some toxicity in the digestive tract. That,
Really?
and it is, yeah, a lot of heaviness in there from the night before. So we try to scrape that off, because doing that stimulates your digestive system, and it stimulates the gastric fire and the digestive enzymes, again helping your body, preparing it for that, for the day to work better. um, so and in the winter, it's nice to oil your skin in the morning because we're dry, and especially as you're getting older, they say over 60, we call that the vata age of life, where everything gets drier. It all
Yeah, tell me
dries up.
about it.
Everything dries up. So you want to oil it. You want to oil those creaky bones, right? Kind of like the Tin Man. Otherwise, they get stiff.
What
So
kind of oil? What kind of oil would you use for that?
so again, this goes according to the dosha. So because I'm a fire sign, I'm Pitta. Coconut oil is better because it's a colder oil. It has cooling properties. But in the winter, I use sesame oil. I also like sesame oil. I recommend that if you're dealing with anxiety. Um, it it is a very grounding oil. Putting some sesame oil on the bottom of your feet at night with a couple of drops of lavender oil mixed in it, it helps you off into a nice sleep, and it grounds the body. So, there's this,
Hold on. That was what? I got to make a note because I have these oils, so I might try it tonight. So what was that?
yeah, sesame oil
Sesame oil.
and with a couple of drops
So
of lavender.
that's interesting. All right. I'm going to try that. I'll let you know how that works for me.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, at night, because there's so much trouble sleeping, it's nice to, well, you should prepare for sleep. Of course, this is harder to do because I know, because a lot of my clients will say to me, "Oh my gosh," the minute I say it. You have to get those devices out of the bedroom at least a couple of hours before. And don't try not to fall asleep with the TV on. Try to set that time up where, okay, it's 10 o'clock, or I'm going to prepare myself for a good night's rest. Use your oils, use your aromatherapy. I love aromatherapy diffusers. I have one here. I think they're wonderful to just scent the room with something calming like a lavender or a rose oil or something that's, calming to you. Um, and it really, because you really want that body in a calm state to sleep. And if you're keeping the television on or listening to something, especially the news, you're taking all those thoughts to bed with you. You're filling your head with all those thoughts, and then you're going to sleep. Not a good thing. So you really want to try to prepare.
No, I agree 100%. Like, in my world, we just try to like cleanse our aura, get all those thought forms out, just kind of energetically disconnect from the day. But I don't think I think a lot of people are going to bed scrolling, nonstop. So it's important to have a solid bedtime routine, but a routine throughout the day as well, right? It's very important.
It is. You should try to eat your meals at the same time, and your lunch, because your digestive fire is the strongest between like 10 and 2, have a bigger lunch. Have your breakfast, have a bigger lunch, and then a smaller dinner. And try to finish that dinner before around, 6 o'clock at night. You don't want to be eating at 8 or 9 o'clock at night because, again, now your body's working overtime to digest that food. And then you're just laying there with this food digested. Because what you ideally should do is try to take a 20-minute walk after each meal to stimulate that digestion. But if you eat too late, it'll interrupt your sleep. And the other thing is, I just wanted to mention that when we're too stimulated before going to sleep, we can't sleep, right, when you're scrolling. But that also blocks the melatonin. We've heard a lot about melatonin as a supplement. So that blocks the melatonin production and it stimulates the nervous system. So that's the last thing we need, before we're going to sleep. But having that kind of a routine, and I take a couple of, like, I'll meditate in the morning, but I'll take a couple of times throughout the day to just take some deep breaths. So I like the 4-7-8 method, which is you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and I like to breathe out through the nose for 8 counts. And at first, do 1 or 2. It could make you lightheaded if you've never done it before. But then a couple of times a day, do 3 breaths each time. And especially if you want to do that before you're trying when you're trying to go to sleep and trying to calm down. And if you have anxiety, that's also very helpful. If you're in the throat, if you feel anxiety, if you're in the midst of it, it's good to do the deep breathing. Well, you know yourself, like the deep breathing and the yoga, it's an amazing practice. It's simple, but it has amazing results.
It does. We do 6-3, 6-3. Well, like,
Mhm.
you know, breathe in 6, hold for 3, exhale 6, all through the
Yeah.
nose. That's one of them. But it does help people to start to still the mind when you just start bringing your focus and your awareness to your breath. And there's an energetic boost from that. Well, the pranic breathing that we do. So energetically, it helps you out as well.
Yeah, the pranic breathing is wonderful.
Yeah. So are you familiar with that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
So long-term benefits of practicing Ayurveda. We got about a minute to go, and then we'll put up your contact information, especially if people want to learn what is it, dovas,
Doshas, your dosha.
doshas. Yeah,
Yeah. And long-term benefits. It sounds cliche, but good health. It helps, it helps your mental state. It helps to keep you calmer too, because now we know that the stress raises your cortisol. It causes inflammation in the body, which leads to disease. It helps to keep you calm. It helps to keep your body in balance. And it helps to keep you well and disease free. Things are going to happen to us, but Ayurveda will help us. If it's preventative, but it also can heal and sustain healing. But it's a lifestyle, right? I don't like that word diet. I haven't for a long time.
lifestyle
You,
is good. Yes, I agree.
yeah, it's a lifestyle. You can't just have, a healthy food today and then the rest of the week not. And it has to be a lifestyle that's practiced. And again, I'm not saying you can't stray from it, and have a treat here and there or whatever, but it's something to be consistent about. But you'll feel the benefits. In your body will feel better, your mind will feel better. Again, I'm a testament in that I have an autoimmune disease where my immune system attacks my thyroid. And every doctor I spoke to said you'll be on medication the rest of your life. Like I said, I think it's 8 or 9 years I haven't taken anything.
That's awesome. So people can, how do they get in touch with you then?
So my website is theholisticroot.com. And oh, my book. That's interesting. That is actually just revised that book. It'll be out later this year. It's still called The Holistic Route to Managing Anxiety, but I did add some things because research over the last 10 or 12 years evolves. But they can reach me at my website or my email. Feel free to email me, and I love questions or any kind of help that you need, and I'd be happy to send a dosha quiz to anyone who's interested.
Well, I will be emailing you to get my copy of the quiz for sure. You can count on that.
Right.
But thanks so much for being here. Learned a lot, and you're going to help me on this next step, so I'll be in touch on that soon. So thanks again. I do need to take another commercial break. I'm Bob Kolozarik, and you're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. I'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth. Published by iUniverse, Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back. I am Bob Kolozarik, and you're watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Thank you all for joining us on this episode of Greetings from the Ashram. It's been a truly captivating exploration of the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, and I'm grateful to Maria Tabon for sharing her rich insights with us. But as we delve into these timeless practices, I'm reminded that Ayurveda is just one piece of a much larger tapestry of holistic healing modalities that the world has to offer. Throughout my own journey, I've encountered a variety of these practices, each with its own unique approach to enhancing health and well-being. As many of you know, one such modality that I practice is pranic healing. Like Ayurveda, pranic healing taps into the wisdom of ages, providing us with tools to harmonize our life force energy and maintain a balanced state both physically and emotionally. And it's fascinating to me how these different modalities, be it Ayurveda, pranic healing, or others like Reiki and traditional Chinese medicine, all share a common thread. They each emphasize the interconnectedness of body, mind, and spirit, urging us to look beyond the symptoms and to treat the whole person. There's something profoundly empowering about taking an active role in our own healing journey, guided by wisdom that has withstood the test of time. So as we're about to part ways today, I encourage you to keep an open mind and a curious heart. Whether you feel drawn to explore Ayurveda, intrigued by pranic healing, or captivated by another practice, remember that the path to wellness is not a one-size-fits-all, as Maria said. It's a personal quest for balance and harmony, informed by our unique needs and experiences. So I'm excited to share that as a way to support your exploration, I'm offering a 20% discount for new clients interested in experiencing pranic healing for themselves firsthand. It's a wonderful opportunity to take that step forward in your wellness journey. So simply scan the QR code on your screen to take advantage of the special offer. I truly believe that the first session will provide insights and benefits that you will find invaluable. So in closing, I'm just reminded that in a world buzzing with modern advancements, there's still a place, a need really, for ancient practices that nurture the soul. So let's continue to honor these traditions as we navigate these modern, stressful lives that we lead, appreciating how they unify us across time and space. So thank you once again for being part of today's discussion. Stay inspired, stay inquisitive, and above all, stay open to the transformative power of ancient wisdom. Okay, until next time, take care and take charge of your journey towards well-being. I am Bob Kozark, and you've been watching Greetings from the Ashram, streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Have a great weekend. Namaste, everyone.
This has been Greetings from the Ashram with host Bob Kolazarik. Through meaningful conversations and practical insights, this show invites you to explore the endless possibilities for personal growth, healing, and spiritual awakening. Tune in each week to discover how these practices can bring balance and harmony to your life, making it a true journey of self-discovery. Fridays, 7 p.m.